What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for Anime Uproar, and as I mentioned in our last Boku no Hero video, I will be making weekly update videos as Season 3 continues. And here we will be discussing all the most important things from each episode and beyond. I want to make these videos as interactive as possible, so each week I will be asking you a new question on our Twitter and Instagram, and my favorite responses will be featured in the video. Last time I asked you guys to come up with your own unique quirk in the world of Boku no Hero, and I got a ton of great responses. And this week I asked you to come up with your own idea for a new villain in the world of Boku no Hero. If you want to participate, be sure to follow us at Anime Uproar on Twitter and Instagram and reply to the question thread with your own response. I will be reading some of the responses at the end of each video. And of course, if you enjoy these types of videos and you want me to keep making them weekly, be sure to leave a like to let me know. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and Detroit smash that notification bell. Episode 41 or episode 3 of season 3 starts off with the students of classes 1A and 1B training to develop the power of their quirks even further. Quirks seem to function just like muscles, so the more you use them, the more powerful they become. As the training continues, we also meet the two other members of the Wild Pussycats hero team, Ragdoll and Tiger. Due to their unique abilities and strong teamwork, the Pussycats are considered by the teachers to be the perfect group of heroes to help the students develop their quirks. And we can see that Tiger is especially strict. He really wants to push all the students to go beyond their limits, to go plus ultra. As the training finishes for the day and everyone eats their dinner, Deku notices that Koda, Mandalay's nephew, is not eating, so he follows him in order to give him a plate of rice and curry. Deku ends up following Koda to his secret hideout, where the two of them have a very interesting exchange. Koda believes that both heroes and villains are just obsessed with power, with getting stronger and showing off their quirks. And Koda thinks that all of this is meaningless and just leads to unnecessary violence and suffering. As Deku observes, Koda hates the entire superhero society because it is so focused on quirks, and those with stronger quirks are usually more successful because strength is valued. I find it interesting that there is such a clear difference between Koda's experience and Deku's. Deku was born without a quirk, so he grew up looking up to and idolizing heroes with strong quirks. Koda, on the other hand, feels like the hero society and its obsession with quirks led to his parents' deaths. So it's really a clash of very different ideas and life experiences. But of course, we know what kind of person Deku is, so he doesn't just want to let it go. Deku wants to show Koda that heroes can be truly good and selfless people, and that it's not just about power for them, it's not just about getting stronger or getting rich. This reminds me of the whole Stain arc and how Stain hates certain heroes because they want to become heroes for their own selfish interests. But he does respect other heroes like All Might and Deku because he believes that they are sincere, genuine heroes who just want to help others. As all of this is happening, behind the scenes we see the villains plotting their attack and waiting for the right time to strike. As we learned in the previous episode, the League of Villains somehow found out about the secret location of the training camp, and they dispatched a special group of elite villains known as the Vanguard Action Squad to deal with the students. At the end of the episode, the villains finally make their move, using poisonous gas and other tactics to attack the students and teachers in various locations at the same time. And the really interesting thing to me at this very end of the episode is how Dabi, who we know was inspired by Stain, says that the villains will take down the false brilliance of the hero title. Which in some ways reminds me of how Koda is seeing the hero society at this moment. Beneath the facade, beneath the surface of the glamorous hero society lurks a darker side. A world in which many heroes become heroes for the wrong reason, and the thirst for power and the obsession with quirks leads to needless conflict and suffering. This makes us think whether someone like Koda, if he doesn't change his way of thinking, could grow up to become a supporter of someone like Stain and Dabi, people who want to unmask the ugly truth behind the hero society. All in all, my big takeaway from this episode is that it's going down. We are only on episode 3 and things are already about to reach a fever pitch, which again just shows us what a brilliant season we have ahead of us. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments below, and are you hyped to see the epic battle between the Vanguard Action Squad villains and the students and teachers? By the way, if you want to know who all these new villains are and you don't care about manga spoilers, you can check out my video where I explain every new character that is going to appear in Boku no Hero Season 3, link in the description. And now for your responses on Twitter and Instagram to my MHA questions of the week. Regarding my first question from last time about creating your own quirk in the world of Boku no Hero, Ethan Rankin calls his quirk activation. The user can forcefully activate someone else's quirk when they are within 5 meters of them. And all I have to say to this, Ethan, is keep watching Season 3. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but keep watching. Crimson Dream says quirk, Adaptive Defense, allows the user to adapt to any action taken against them. In order for this quirk to activate, the user has to be attacked first, and the weakness of this quirk is that the ability only affects damage from outside effects, so punches, acid, and fire, but the user is weak against internal threats, so I'm thinking like psychic powers. This would be a really interesting quirk to see in action in battle, because I'm guessing the stronger your opponent is and the stronger their attacks are, the more effective this quirk will be. Now for the second question, where I asked you to create your own villain in the world of Boku no Hero and come up with their own unique backstory and quirk. My own entry, just to give you an example, was villain name Noxtaku, backstory. Angry at the world for not recognizing his comedic genius, he retreats to the internet and forms an evil organization known as the Fanbase. Noxtaku's quirk is Sarcasm Overload, where his enemies are driven to the brink of madness by endless sarcastic quips. And even though Noxtaku is undoubtedly an evil villain, he is still a really good anime YouTuber. Be sure to check out his channel. Laughing Moose wants to see a quirk called Self Magnet that is able to pull metal towards the user and collect around the body like a magnet, essentially creating an armor, sword, shield, and all that sort of stuff. The backstory of this villain is that he sought help trying to master this powerful quirks but was rejected by hero schools, I'm guessing because the quirk was too unstable, and now he wants to prove to everyone who rejected him that he should have been accepted by society. Uncle No Heart, by the way, great reference to the Care Bears, says that he wants to see a villain whose name is Akiko Yamazaki, aka Marionette. The name of the quirk is Puppeteer, and it allows him to control anyone he touches for up to 30 minutes by touching any of their pressure points. But if he tries to use the quirk for more than 30 minutes, he will lose his memory. And Uncle No Heart even has a cool drawing for his villain to go along with the entry. Krim Sonkyborg 7 has an idea for a villain by the name of Damien. Damien's life philosophy is honestly, I just do what I feel like, and while everyone else looked up to heroes, he grew up wanting to be a villain because it gave him a certain thrill. Although his family was initially quirkless, something happened and Damien developed a flame-based quirk which allowed him to join the greatest gang called the Black Rose. Krim also left a cool illustration of his villain on Twitter. Kagami360 wants to see a new overarching antagonist or villain for a saga. The villain would have a quirk that allows them to take over the body of anyone they choose, and then use that person's quirk. Body swapping powers are always interesting and lead to the craziest plot twists, so I would definitely be down for something like that. And we have Infinity King Visor 277, who has a very cool idea. He says that Deku's dad is a villain who is working to gather all the other villains around the world to join sides with the League of Villains. And he's doing all of this under the guise of being a businessman going on a bunch of business trips, which is why he is so often away in the story. The name of his quirk would be God's Gift, and it allows him to give quirks to quirkless people. Deku's dad loves his family very much, and he doesn't want them to come into the hero versus villain conflict, so he decides to leave Deku quirkless so he wouldn't be able to fight. But at some point, Deku's mom becomes suspicious of her husband, so she doesn't tell him when Deku suddenly develops his own quirk, which of course we know is One for All. I think this is a really cool idea because I really want to know more about Deku's dad, and there has to be some reason why he is away so often. If Deku's dad turned out to be a villain, that would be a huge twist and it would open up so many options with Deku having to face him later on in the series. So something along those lines would definitely be cool in my book. Over on Instagram, Ian Gazdako wants to see a villain called Gaz, but he is not exactly a villain, more so a vigilante who just does what he wants to do regardless of what the law says. The name of the villain's quirk would be Rage, and the angrier the person becomes, the more strength and power they get, and they can even get to a point where they lose control of their sanity and go berserk. The main enemy of Gaz would actually be Eraserhead due to the fact that Gaz sees Eraserhead as an unjust hero that corrupts the youth. Ian sees the League of Villains potentially trying to recruit this villain, but he refuses, and he is very dangerous but also has the potential to become one of the strongest heroes. I definitely like this idea of a villain who is not 100% a villain, kinda like Stain. So he functions outside the law, he doesn't let the law limit his actions, but he's not necessarily evil, he's doing what he believes is right. I find characters like that very interesting. Also on Instagram, Obsidian Jade proposes a villain named Zeke, a jazz musician who works at a nightclub and plays the trumpet and sax. This jazz club is a gathering spot for modern-day shinobi and spies, and gathering information and enforcing dark contracts are just some of the things that Zeke and his posse do. Zeke's quirk is manipulating sound waves to caress your soul or shatter your bones. I assume that Zeke's quirk is activated by his musical instruments, and only on clear notes does he have the most effect, and each note is a specific style of attack. Playing too loud for too long will have negative physical consequences on the user of this quirk. I have to say, extra bonus points to Obsidian Jade for coming up with a villain who is a jazz musician and works at a jazz club. That is just awesome. I want to see this as soon as possible. A bunch of badass jazz musician villains going around and taking over the underworld in the world of Boku no Hero. Come on, Horikoshi, let's make it happen. But that is all I have time for in this video, guys. Thank you so much for participating. If you want to take part in next week's video, be sure to follow @AnimeUproar on Twitter and Instagram. I still want to see some more cool suggestions for new Boku no Hero villains, so be sure to reply to those threads on Twitter and Instagram with your ideas. If you enjoy these types of videos and you want to keep seeing them weekly, be sure to leave a like to let me know. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time a new video is out. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.